Hi, today I'm going to fix a pair of pants. Now these pants, I modified them for a Halloween costume. I was going to do like a Slender Man arms, and so I cut out the crotch. But here I'm going to sew it back up. Since this is so big, I'm not going to do the entire thing, but I'm going to show you part of it. And so you could say it's like a beginner's crash course on sewing. So what we're going to need, we have a needle. We have some thread. In this case, it's black to match the color. We have a thimble so we don't poke our finger, and we have a pair of scissors just in case we need to trim it, which later on we will. Okay, so first off, threading the eye of the needle. So you have to be very careful with this, but a method I've heard that you can use if you have trouble is like you wet the needle and then you poke it through like this. So instead of leaving the thread attached to the spool, we get as much as we want, and then we're going to cut it off. So let's say about this much. Just going to cut this. Alright. Now we're going to make a knot with this. So we grab both of these threads. This may be called a double knot. We tie it, we loop it around there, and keeping it in this circle, we put the ends of these through this loop. Okay, here we are. Since the knot is really small, I'm gonna knot it another time or two. So here we go. Yeah, I got one of the strings longer than the other, so it's probably better to keep them around the same length, at least when doing this beginning knotting. But this is hard. There we go. No. Due to technical difficulties, I'm going to do it one more time. This time I'm going to use my smaller finger. I'll have a smaller circle, and maybe I can get closer to the knot. Okay, so I get this into the circle, pull it through, small end through the circle. Oops. Bring it over. Pull this through. Carefully try to get all the knots to line up, and here we go, we have a knot. Okay. Now there's the ways you can stitch. There's I'm trying to think. It's either a whip. It could be called the whip stitch, your basic stitch, where starting out. Okay. I'm going to start on one side. Be careful not to poke my fingers. And move it over here so I can see it. Pull the needle through. You pull it through until the end, but I need a bigger knot. Okay. Yeah, sometimes this is what happens if the knot is too small. It'll slip through, and so you want the knot to catch. So we're going to knot this one more time, make it even bigger, and this should work better. Alright, that's big. Okay, so we're going to try this again. Starting on one side. I'm getting this so it's, I've got 2 fingers, I'm putting it between 2 fingers. Or at least I'm spreading this out with my fingers, kind of like this. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this through. Want to catch, and here it has caught, so hopefully it's going to be nice and firm. It's not going to come through. So now we move it to the other side. I'm going to come out a little bit more because there's a bit more of a tear over here. And like, I noticed how with sewing machines, you put some pins in there to keep it lined up, but for doing it by hand, you don't have to do it as much, or it's like just like this. You can put it through one side, pull it out the other side, and then pull it tighter, and then it will pull it together. So we're going to try this again. And sometimes it's like sometimes it's easier for the needle to go through than other times, and that's when you'd use your thimble to like to push it through on the other side. Try this. Do it a little bit further, but pretty near the other one. Alright, we pulled it through like that. Now I'm going to show you a double stitch, I think it's called. Or no, excuse me, it's a cross stitch. Okay, so how we do that? Okay, so it's like we pull it through, just like the other one, we put it in the other side, but then we're going to go back through the same side and now we cross over to the other side. Oops. Should probably be more careful than I am with making sure not to poke yourself. Alright. Yeah. There you go. Now we go back through this side. And then we again cross it over to the other side. So you alternate back and forth, like you switch the side, put it back through, switch to the other side, put it back through, and you keep doing that, and it's stronger than the whip stitch. Now when you're done sewing, in this case I'm gonna stop it now, but say what if we are done? One way we can do it, you cut it near the needle, near the eye of the needle. So we're going to make a knot. We're going to knot this. Guess you could try it either the same way that we did it, which I'll do that, and then I'll show you another method. If you're gonna tie it, get it near the base. Don't do it like I did. Since this is pretty long, I'm gonna cut it a bit. Alright. Now normally, whenever you know that you've used enough thread, it's when it's so short, it's getting harder, there's not as much space to put the needle back in and out. And so I've cut it a little bit too short for it to be like that. So here's another way you can tie a knot. It's just like tying your shoes. So you cross them over, put one through the middle, this is easier said than done. tighten this have it near the base, and then do it again. If you're super paranoid, you can do it one more time. And then after you do all of this, then we get the scissors, and I'll do that now instead of tying it a third time. You get the scissors and you just clip it near the knot. You don't want the string to be too noticeable, but you don't want to get it too short that you cut the knot and then you have to sew it all over again. Alright, so I did a really short basic stitching, and I'm going to trim this also. We don't want this much showing out of the top. Alright, and here we go. Well, I'm going to show you earlier. I've been practicing some on it, and so this is some of the stitching I did earlier. It's like the beginning of it was the whip stitch, you know, the regular, and the rest of this was the double, the cross stitching. So this is more of what it should look like, except all the way down is the final result. Alright, and that's how you hand sew a pair of pants, and thanks for watching.